On paper, the Redmi Note 15 Pro 5G looks like a nailed-on mid-range monster. Why? Because you get some awesome spec, things like a 200 megapixel main sensor, a massive all-day battery with rapid recharging, and a super smooth AMOLED display. But having used this phone for a short while, maybe things aren't exactly what they seem, and maybe it's not the no-brainer you think it is. In fact, we'll tell you in this review why you should or should not depart with your money for the Redmi Note 15 Pro. The Redmi Note 15 Pro has dual sensors on the rear. You get a 200 megapixel 23mm wide lens and an 8 megapixel 15mm ultra wide, and then the front sensor is 20 megapixels at 25 millimeters. And how those cameras perform? Well, let's start with the main lens. Here you capture really nice images which are solid with detail and sharpness, and colors again are nice and balanced. It's a nicer overall image than the 14 Pro from memory from last year, which does mean images do have a very contrasty feel to them, and dynamic range is also really nice. Low light, astonishingly, is again surprisingly detailed and looks really good, reflects really well like the daylight images do, so you do retain a lot of the finer detail and sharpness as well. Now that selfie cam, it's only okay. They are usable, but they're not going to be anything that will blow you away, and I think something like a Honor 400 Lite does produce better overall selfie images than this, which is significantly cheaper. Then the ultra-wide 8 megapixel, as expected, it lacks the sharpness and detail and generally produces an overall softer look to them, especially around the edges, and that's one of the downsides of a low resolution sensor such as this. And then video from the main lens is at 4K and overall produces some really nice colors. Nothing that will blow you away, but generally solid and again, very, very usable. Overall, the camera system is good, but I think in this price range, something like a Poco X7 Pro, which we'll link in description and up top, does offer a finer, better overall camera experience. The Dimensity 7400 Ultra powers this Redmi Note 15 Pro, and on paper it looks really, really good. The upgrades versus the 14 Pro from last year are somewhat small. The big difference though in this price category that we've just mentioned is this phone versus the X7 Pro, which offers a huge difference in terms of its performance and sits in the exact same price category again. And now you're slowly starting to see why on paper this looks good value, but there are some instances where there have been compromises in spec and performance versus cost. The gaming performance though on a 74 Ultra is actually really, really good. You even benefit from additional frame rate additions through Redmi's own software on games. Oh, that was hard to get out. And generally speaking, graphics look really, really good. Frame rates are pretty stable, and it does offer a pretty good overall gaming experience. Not at the top end 60 frames on Call of Duty on very high graphics, but still pretty good. And then the battery, it's a 6580 milliamp hour battery, silicon carbon with 45 watts of wired charging. And day-to-day usage, this means gaming, streaming, YouTube content and browsing. You're looking at 5 to 6 hours a day easy for multiple days, supported by the fact that we use this for a number of hours during the day, and we still had pretty much multiple days of screen on time and battery life remaining on what we had left on this device, which is pretty insane. And that points it towards a processor and battery combination that's actually very, very efficient on day-to-day use. The Note 15 Pro has adopted the standard, which seems to be in the industry, which is a flat rails all along the side, and on the back you have a matte finish, which doesn't really gather fingerprints, especially in this sort of sky blue color, and looks really, really good. One great addition of the 15 Pro versus the 14 Pro is the display. 6.77-inch AMOLED with 3200 nits of peak brightness and added durability for things like drops or up to 1.5 meters roughly. We didn't test this, but that's what it's claimed. And generally the display is superb. Deep rich colors, excellent HDR as well, with no loss of colors even at higher brightness levels. It looks really, really good. On the OS front, you don't get Hyper OS 3, but the soft experience you do get is really well refined. Fast animations, smooth to use, no crashes at all, genuinely no crashes at all, and runs really, really well. You obviously get all the customization options that you'd normally find. Open and closing apps is pretty well delivered as well, and you can make the animations either super fast or get rid of them entirely if you wanted the ultimate fast experience. Then in terms of updates, 4 OS updates, so this will run till 2030, and 6 security updates. And this is a really good addition across the whole of the Poco range that recently came out, the M8 series, and now the Note 15 series, that this level of support is happening. So these again will get all the way up to Android 19 because they launched on 15, which again is pretty good value for money. Throughout this review, we've mentioned the highs and lows of this Redmi Note 15 Pro 5G, but there's one thing that we mentioned at the start of this video was whether this was worth buying, and there's a reason we're going to say no, and that's because this phone costs roughly RRP wise around about £400 to £450, depending on configuration, and for that you should never be served ads, ever. And shockingly, you will be served ads on this phone, much like the Poco M8, which is around £230, give or take half its value. You could understand it. On a phone that's a mid-ranger, that'll be competing with Samsung A series, Google Pixel phones. That is not acceptable. And it's a bit of a shame and a bit of a deal breaker because this phone offers so much goodness at a pretty decent price. The upgrades may not be huge, but things like gaming is pretty well delivered. Display is excellent, build quality is really, really good. You get super thin borders, speakers sound great as well as stereo. Generally this phone is really, really good, but it is diluted a little bit by the ads. But if that's something that you're not bothered by, all those preloaded apps, then you can remove those and disable those notifications, and then the phone you'll have does deliver a pretty good experience. But we want you to let us know if that is acceptable for Redmi to deliver a post £400 and above phone that delivers ads and has a lot of preloaded apps. Let us know in the comment section below, and be sure to like, comment and subscribe. And until the next one, as always, we out.